Hey, I'm Gilda Cobb-Hunter again, Chair of the South Carolina Progressive Legislative Caucus. And I hope you had a good time this morning. I hope at the rally you got all fired up and you're ready to go. You got inspired, all that good stuff. Had a chance to meet some people you didn't know before. Had a chance to see some old friends. Here's the bottom line. If you came this morning to the rally and you didn't meet a new person, then you got to go back and do the rally over again. Just kidding. Here's the point. I'm sitting here with Brett Bursey, and those of you who know Brett Bursey know how Brett Bursey is a very difficult person to say no to. And so even though I had this nice, lovely family commitment with the love of my life, Brett Bursey convinced me I needed to figure out how to say something to y'all about the Strategy Summit. So here's my 2 cents worth. You know I'm a legislator. I'm allegedly inside, and I want to speak to you from the perspective of being inside to tell you we got to figure out a way to make this system work better, and figuring out that way is not going to come from the inside. I am a member of the South Carolina Progressive Network. I have been a member of the South Carolina, my agency I should say, CASA Family Systems. Let me get that little plug in for CASA Family Systems, a family violence agency that serves Bamberg, Calhoun, and Orangeburg counties. And since this organization was formed 20 years ago, CASA Family Systems joined then, and we have been an active participant in the South Carolina Progressive Network. Because just as 20 years ago, when the network was formed, the whole idea behind it was, this work is hard in South Carolina, and we need to look at building a coalition of people who will make it easier. My point is this. There are a lot of people talking now about coalition building, community organizing, all kinds of things that have merit, and quite frankly, I agree with 100%. Here's the point that I want you to remember. The Progressive Network has been around for 20 years. A lot of the things that I've been hearing about and reading about, y'all, we've been doing it here in South Carolina for 20 years now. Problem is, we're in South Carolina. The media in South Carolina doesn't much care about covering progressive network events or issues. But now what does that mean? Does that mean that because the media doesn't cover it, you don't do it? You don't talk about it? No, that's not what it means at all. What it means is you stay focused like the network has done. And you recognize that the issues are much, much, much more important than media attention or who's going to get headlines. I believe the network, like me, has adopted the mentality that you'd be surprised at what you can get done when you don't care who gets the credit. And a lot of the work in South Carolina, what progress has been made, in my opinion, has come as a result of 20 plus years of the South Carolina Progressive Network tilting at this windmill. So back to strategy. The network has adopted this adage: educate, agitate, legislate, litigate. That 4th strategy is a new one. And for those of you who get a little squeamish at the idea of going to court and litigating, guess what, boo? In this age of Donald Trump, you need to get comfortable with it, because already we're seeing what his plans are for working families, for the environment, for people who happen to love somebody who is of the same sex. All of the things that we progressives care about, y'all, It's about to get serious here. Now, I'm a Democrat. Some of you are independent. Some of you are Republican. Please know that this is not about building the Democratic Party, the Independent Party, or the Republican Party. For me, this is about building a base of support, a group of people who are focused on issues. Use this to understand the point I'm making. For those of you who've been around for a minute, you may remember that in the civil rights struggle, there's an old saying that no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just permanent interests or permanent issues. That's the philosophy that a lot of us are going to have to take if we're serious about organizing for change. In South Carolina, we are fortunate to have a group of very strong, committed men and women who have been doing this work for some time now. We've got to figure out how we move the ball down the field to you. I believe very strongly in the Chinese observation of crisis as opportunity. Now, I told you the network has been around for 20-something years. During that 20-year period, we've had Democratic administrations, we've had Republican administrations. We would have been having work that needed to be done if Hillary Clinton had won. We got even more work that's going to need to be done because Donald Trump won. Now, the worst thing you can do is throw up your hands and say, oh, woe is me. There's no use. It doesn't matter. It does matter. The future is in your hands. I will close my comments by reminding you of what I think is a pretty profound message and a song from a young man who is no longer with us, Michael Jackson, had a song called Man in the Mirror. And just one or two lines from that. I'm looking at that man in the mirror, or woman. I'm asking him to change his ways. My point is this. Don't sit around and complain about federal, state, or local issues without checking with that face in the mirror. Ask face, how about saying, face, what have you done? Or you know how some of us procrastinators are, what you gonna do? Bottom line is, there is absolutely no need, no rationale, no logic in complaining about what everybody else is not doing when you yourself are not doing what you should do or could do. So let's get busy. Let's get off our butts. Let's decide that we're all going to work together for a change. There are enough of us here that we could take little pieces and not to be political and borrow or, you know, what the hell. The best way to eat an elephant is one small bite at a time. I challenge you to let's start biting and eating that sucker, because if we don't start, God help us all. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and it is not the light of an oncoming train. Keep hope alive. Stay focused. We can do this. It's not rocket science. All it is collaborate, cooperate, commit to making a difference in some way. Leave here today with some idea of what you, not the network, what you as an individual is committed to going back to your community and doing. And it doesn't have to be the same thing, but trust me, There is nobody riding in on a white horse from the government to save us. We got to save ourselves. And the sooner we recognize that, the better off we'll be. So, hey, thanks for coming out today. I hope you had a blast this morning. This is just an example of what can be done when we all come together. Remember, we live in South Carolina. It's a very small state. So we don't need 10 different groups going off in 10 different directions trying to be progressive. Let's all just, in the words of Rodney King, can't we all just get along? Thank you so much for your time.